Good morning, everyone. I'm Vaishnavi from class 7th, and today we are going to start with a new chapter of science. We are going to start the chapter from biology chapter, which is nutrition in plants. So, starting with the chapter, first we have to know the key points of this chapter, that what we will learn in this lesson and what we will discuss over there. So, we will discuss nutrition and its types, autotrophic nutrition in plants, heterotrophic nutrition, saprotrophs, and replenishing of nutrients in the soil. So, starting with the first type, that nutrition in plants and nutrition and its types. You already know that all the living organisms required food to grow, repair their damaged parts of their bodies, and also replenish their body and get energy from the food by the process of digestion, excretion, etc. And also, you know that the components of food that are necessary for our body are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and all these are called the nutrients. So there are five types of nutrients that we have learned in the sixth class, that were carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. And these all groups are called nutrients. So the process of taking in food by an organism, by any organism, and its utilization by the body is called the nutrition. So, what is nutrition? The process of taking in food with by an organism with its utilization is called the nutrition. So we have learned that there are food helps us to grow. It repairs our damaged parts of our bodies, and also it helps us to get energy and for life processes. For example, many things to do, eating, we action work that we do, everything that comes from energy. So we store energy, as we can say that, and use it for the other processes of life. So we also have learned that there are five types of nutrients, which are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. So this is the formation, that what is nutrition and its types are, and its types we will learn, that which is its type. The energy from food is obtained by two processes. The two processes are nutrition and respiration. Respiration is through nose, and nutrition starts from our mouth. So it can be asked that from where respiration process starts. So we can answer that it starts from our nose. And from where the nutrition starts, it starts from our mouth. By chewing our food, it goes to the food pipe, and then other processes occur. And now we have to learn that how many types of nutritions are there. So there are two kinds of nutritions, which are autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So first we have to study that what are autotrophic nutrition in plants. This is the second key point of this chapter. So green plants are able to prepare their own food from simple and raw materials. So this is a definition, you can say, that the green plants are able to prepare their own food from simple and raw substances. So the organisms that prepare their food on their own are known as autotrophic autotrophs, and they use some raw materials such as carbon dioxide, water, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the soil, and many other things use, like sunlight also they use by the sun, and they get energy. They convert their food by the process of photosynthesis, and there are many things that we are going to study in this part. So this mode of nutrition where green plants make their food is called the autotrophic nutrition. And what is the meaning of autotrophic? Auto means self, and trophism is meaning the feeding. So self-feeding nutrition. That is the meaning of this word, that self-feeding nutrition. So such plants are therefore called autotrophs. So the plants and organisms that prepare their own food with simple and raw substances are called autotrophs. The cells of green leaves, the cells of green leaves and young stems of plants contain numerous green structures called chloroplasts. So the cells the cells that green leaves contain are in the young stems that contains with numerous like green structures we can see in a leaf. So that are known as the chloroplast, where the green pigment is stored, that is known as chlorophyll. So the green pigment that is stored in the chloroplast is called chlorophyll. And the chlorophyll traps the energy from sunlight. So it traps the energy from sunlight, and leaves take in carbon dioxide from the air, and through tiny pores. So from air that is taken in the plant, so it is taken through tiny pores. So that tiny pores are called stomata, and in singular form they are also known as stoma. So we can see that the leaves take in the carbon dioxide, their air, they take the raw material, so they prepare their food with the help of stomata. Okay. These pores are located underside of the leaf. So they cannot be visible on the upper side, they are visible on the underside of the leaves. The stomata are surrounded by guard cells. Now, what are guard cells? The guard cells control opening and closing of stomata. So, if the light and sunlight is no, if the carbon dioxide in the air is not present, so the guard cells will close the stomata for the further process, so that the photosynthesis process will occur. And they open when the sunlight, carbon dioxide, they come, and it takes in the nutrition energy from it, and then they convert their food. The water is absorbed from the soil, that we know. The root hairs present in the roots. So the root, you can see there are many types of roots also that we have learned in the class 6, that are actually help the roots help to take the nutrition from the soil, and we add water to the soil so that the plant take nutrition from the soil. Leaves do not take water, leaves take water from the roots. So you can say that the root system applies all the nutrition in the whole plant by the stems, their leaves, and to flowers and all. It transports nutrition from the roots to the whole plant. The water minerals absorbed by the plants are transported to the leaves through xylem vessels. So, xylem vessels help the minerals to pass on to whole the plant and to leaves also, so that they can prepare the food. These pipes run through the root stems, branches, and leaves also, so that they can absorb these minerals. And using the energy of sun, chemical reactions take place through that part in the green part. So as I told, the green pigment is present in the chloroplast area. So the energy that is like produced from the sun takes a chemical reaction in its place, and turns the takes place in the green parts of the plant, in which carbon dioxide and water are converted into the food in the form of glucose with the help of sunlight energy. And how that converts, we have a formula for that. My ma'am told carbon dioxide plus water is equal to, with the process of chlorophyll and sunlight, it converts to glucose and oxygen. Then, since the synthesis of food occurs in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. Now, what is photosynthesis? What does photosynthesis mean? So, photosynthesis is something when the food occurs in the presence of sunlight. So, when the food forms and food prepares in in the presence of sunlight, it is called photosynthesis. And what does photosynthesis mean? Photo means light, and synthesis means combination of nutrients. So light and combination of nutrients is the meaning of photosynthesis. So we have learned what is photosynthesis, and thus photosynthesis combines the non-living components of the environment and raw materials, we can say, such as water and carbon dioxide, and in the presence of sunlight, the food forms. The food synthesized by the green leaves is transported to the other parts of the plant through stems. In most of the plants, glucose is converted into the starch and stored in leaves and stems, and also the roots of the plant. The food that plants make is used not only by themselves but also by the entire world. So, as we know that the plants prepare food for us also, and they prepare food for themselves also. How they prepare food for us also, because as we see that there are many fruits, vegetables. So plants give us the fruits and vegetables that help us to take in, and that fills our digestive system, and then excretes from our anus and etc. From excretion process then occurs. So that is why plants make their food also and give entire world also. Besides, you already know that photosynthesis helps to maintain the balance between the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. So how they actually maintain that system, because they maintain, because when the plant take the carbon dioxide and when it processes the carbon dioxide, it excretes out the oxygen. So as we take in carbon dioxide, as we take oxygen, and we excrete the carbon dioxide, that is the same thing the plants balance. So that's why it is said that plant more trees and plants, so that it makes our world more happier, and more oxygen would be there in our surroundings. Therefore, in the absence of photosynthesis, life would have been impossible. So, why it would be impossible? Because there would be no oxygen for humans, and humans would not be there, animals would not be there. So, life would be impossible about the photosynthesis process. And that helps the whole entire world with a simple method, that is photosynthesis. And it is also mentions that it takes the energy of sunlight. So thanks to sun, that it takes the energy, it gives us energy for preparing their food. And they prepare their food, we eat their food, and then we excrete out. So this is the life process that continues like around and around. And that is why the photosynthesis, the autotrophic nutrition in plants happen. Now we are going to study that conditions necessary for photosynthesis. So what are the conditions necessary to take place the photosynthesis? The conditions necessary for taking in the photosynthesis are presence of chlorophyll, presence of light, presence of sunlight actually, and availability of carbon dioxide, availability of water. And these conditions should be necessary all the time, so that photosynthesis process happens day by day. Now coming to synthesis of food other than carbohydrates by plants. So what does this mean? That synthesizing the food other than the carbohydrates by plants. So carbohydrates that plants synthesize during the photosynthesis are made of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. So they are used to synthesize other components of food, such as proteins and fats. Proteins contain nitrogen, and through air, though air contains large amount of nitrogen, so plants cannot absorb this nitrogen directly. So they get nitrogen in two ways. So how did the nitrogen gets into the plants? We will see that soil contains bacteria called rhizobium that can convert the atmospheric nitrogen to the water soluble compounds. Plants absorb these compounds along with water to get nitrogen in them. For example, I have an example that my mom adds into the plants. Like I have many plants, more than 10 or more than 10 or 5. So my mom adds after every 2 weeks. She adds NPK 20. That is nitrogen actually, that helps the plants to grow a very fertile, that has fertility soil, and the plants get a nitrogen so that they can grow, they can produce fruits, and they produce flowers also. I have a beautiful garden, once I will show you. uh, then these compounds get to the nitrogen gets to into the soil. Then farmers and fertilizers, the second point is farmers and add fertilizers in rich in nitrogen to the soil. These are absorbed by the plants, and this can be used at home but not by kids. Like I cannot use that, as it is also recommended that kids not use it, and because it is a poison also for humans. Then let's go to the heterotrophic nutrition in plants. So animals and non-green plants such as fungi, bacteria cannot prepare their own food. So they depend directly or indirectly on green plants for their nutrition. This mode of nutrition is called heterotrophic nutrition, and the animals and non-green plants that depend on them are known as heterotrophs. So we have studied before that the plants that prepare their own food are known as autotrophs, and plants and animals who depend on the plants for their food and for their nutrition are called heterotrophs. So we have studied the 2 points of these nutrition types of nutrition, that they take directly or indirectly food given by the green plants. And now we have to study that herbivorous animals depend directly on plants for their nutrition. Carnivores depend on other animals that eat the grass, and they eat actually the green plants only for their nutrition, which in turn depend on plants only. Thus, when you eat meat or you eat something fleshy or animals, you are indirectly depending on food prepared by the plants, because that animal that you are eating now is consuming the food that green plants prepare. So that is why you are indirectly depending on the plants. You know that green plants get the energy to prepare their food from the sun. Thus, the sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms. So, it can be asked in the question that why sun is the ultimate source of energy for all organisms. So, the plants prepare their food from the sun. That is why sun is the ultimate source of energy for all living organisms on Earth. Heterotrophic nutrition in plants. Now we are going to read. Heterotrophic nutrition in plants means that some non-green plants live in or on the other living organisms and derive their food from them. These plants are known as the parasites, and the plant from which a parasite gets its food is called a host. So if the word host comes in your surrounding, like host, that so it will definitely will come the answer that parasite is the answer. Then, if I give an example for this, dodder is a plant that sucks food from using other plant using its root-like structures that help us to take its nutrients from the other plant. So this is a heterotroph. Then it is a parasite, and the some parasitic plants like mistoli plant, which grow on trees such as mango and mahua, have green leaves and can synthesize their food, but they take water and minerals from the host plant. They do not just take their food from them, but they take water and minerals from that plant. They are known as partial parasites, that as they do not take the whole food from the other plant. The plant kingdom also has plants that consume insects, and Venus flytrap and pitcher plant catch insects by ingenious methods. They are known as insectivorous plants. In pitcher plant, a leaf becomes modified to form a pitcher like structure with a lid, so that when the insect comes, and so it closes its nip so that the insect goes inside it, and then an insect enters in the pitcher plant, the lid closes and traps the insect, and it gets entangled with the hair of pitcher plant. The cells of the pitcher plant secrete digestive juices from the insect trapped by them. Venus flytrap does the same thing. Venus flytrap and pitcher plant grow in soil that is not rich in more nutrients. They use the nutrition obtained from insects to supplement the food they prepare from photosynthesis. Now we have learned this. Now we are going to coming to the third last topic, which is to the second last topic, which is saprotrophs. What are saprotrophs? Some non-green plants live on dead and decaying matter and animals. So, and derive their food from them. Examples are mushrooms and other fungi bacteria. They secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying matter. This converts the solid matter into a liquid matter, so that they digest the liquid and absorb the nutrients from that liquid, from which they get the food from the dead and decaying matter. This method of getting nutrients from the dead and decaying matter of is known, and by the liquid is known as the saprotrophic nutrition. Fungi and bacteria that use this mode of nutrition are known as the saprotrophs or saprophytes. Spores of fungi are also floating around us in the air. They start germinating when the land on wet and warm things get closer to each other. Fungi grow on Fungi grow on shoes, clothes, pickles, and other articles in warm and humid weather. And do you know, I have seen in my bread, as I have a bread in my home, bread that we eat with sandwich bread. So it has a sprinkle of some water, and take some sprinkle of water and leave it in a moist place for 2 to 3 days. Observe with a magnifying glass. Can you see the white and a little bit brown patches on the bread? This is known as fungus. So this happens when we leave the bread for 2 to 3 days, like it's opened and we left it. So that's why the fungi grows on the bread to take its nutrition from there, and they roam all around in the air. They can be here, they can be there. So in the other mode of nutrition, two different kinds of organisms work together for their mutual benefit. So, for example, we can see algae, which is an autotroph, and fungus, which is an saprotroph, live together in lichen. Thus, the fungus supplies water and minerals to the cells to alga, while the alga supplies food to the fungus. Such a mutually beneficial relationship is called symbiosis. Now we have learned saprotrophic nutrition and symbiosis over here. Now we are coming to the last topic, which is replenishing nutrients in the soil. So replenishing nutrients in the soil means the plants absorb nutrients from the soil. Therefore, the amount of nutrition in the soil goes on decreasing. In the forest, these nutrients get naturally replenished by the decaying and dead animals. However, on farm, these nutrients have to be added to the soil by farmers to added by the manures and fertilizers in the form to replenish the nutrition in soil, such as nitrogen, potassium, and also phosphorus. A farmer knows which like nutrients are crucial for which crops, and adds manures and fertilizers accordingly to the needs of plants. Most of the crops require a lot of nitrogen to make soil, to make nutrition, to make like more proteins in that soil area. After the crop is harvested, the soil becomes deficient in nitrogen. So after the crop is harvested, it becomes deficient in nitrogen. You have already read that bacteria rhizobium can convert the atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into soluble form, in the liquid form that the plants absorb through their soil, and that is called the rhizobium. Rhizobium cannot make its own food actually, so it therefore lives on the roots of leguminous plants such as grams, peas, moong dal, and where it gets their food in shelter. In turn, it provides them the nitrogen also. It does has a symbiotic relationship with leguminous plants. So this mutual benefit is also called the symbiosis relation. So we get we most of the pulses from leguminous plants. Farmers know that they do not need to add nitrogens, fertilizers in the soil in which leguminous plants are grown. So whenever you are growing pulses at your home, if you are growing kidney beans, if you are growing any of the pulses or grams, so keep sure in mind that you do not need to add the fertilizer, or the plants will actually bow down if there will be overlapping of the nitrogen in their soil. So it is very mandatory to not add a lot of nitrogen, as rhizobium lives in that plant. Now we have completed the chapter, and we have learned 5 things in this chapter: autotrophs, heterotrophs, parasites, saprotrophic nutrition, saprotrophs, and symbiosis relation. And so whole chapter is complete. In the next class we will revise the tick mark questions and answer in one word questions that will help us to revise this chapter. And with the next class, we will also revise the SST chapter, which we have done when, where, and how their question answers we will revise, and their tick mark questions in the next class with the same thing. So thank you everyone for now. Stay at your home, and also don't go outside as there is a pandemic situation. So stay safe, stay home. Okay, bye bye.